Welcome to Sensational Living with Liliana. Today I'm going to make my version of a fat bomb, but I'm going to make it like a chocolate keto bark. So simple, you cannot go wrong with this recipe. So I'm just going to go ahead and just start off by preparing my pan. I've got your little parchment paper. If you don't have that, you can use a little bit of wax paper. Just going to set that down so it doesn't move when I am putting the mixture in here all over. So now it's going to be nice and tight in there. Let's just start off by using some unrefined coconut oil. Now again, if you've got any good coconut oil, virgin coconut oil, that's going to be fantastic. We're going to start with about a half a cup. And of course, if you want to make more, it should make a pan about that size. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of this in here. And one thing that's great about this is you can, really work with the consistency of it. If you feel that it's just still a little bit too liquidy, you can add more nuts to it, more shredded coconut. So again, it doesn't have to be precise, which is awesome. So we're just going to go ahead and heat this up. Now, once I get the oil hot, I'm not going to keep it going as far as the heat. I'll probably turn it off and then just mix all of these things in there really easy. So you don't need to actually cook this recipe. So it's kind of like almost raw, to be quite honest with you. Now I'm going to use some coconut, shredded coconut, as I said, and I'm also going to use Lakanto, which is going to be a monk fruit, and it's what we would consider an alcohol sugar, but it still has some impact. So don't get me wrong, a lot of people don't even count that, but it's got about a 2-carb net value when you're actually using it. It doesn't go through the liver as a regular refined sugar would, so it doesn't have that huge spike or that glycemic spike, and it doesn't have that stevia bitter taste. So I love using Lakanto. So now that we got our oil completely liquid now, so you can just see it's just a liquid oil, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. If I need to turn it on, I will, but I'm going to just watch how the consistency goes. I'm going to put in 1 cup of almond flour. Now this is a very fine one, so I'm going to mix it in there. I'm going to go ahead and add my cacao. Now I'm going to put approximately about 3 tablespoons of this. I'm just going to go ahead and use the same one here. Now again, you can make it more chocolatey. You can even put collagen in here if you want. But what I try to do is I try to keep, it's already going to have a little bit of protein with the almond flour, and I want to keep these a fat bomb. So I like my patients, if they are hungry in between their meals, is to have something that doesn't create a big influx in their insulin levels. So if you eat protein or if you eat carbohydrates, you need to have insulin to shuttle those calories into the cell wall. Well, as soon as insulin is in your blood, you stop burning fat for fuel. So these keto bombs are really great because they're going to give you enough fat for the brain to say, I've got some calories. You got all the tantalizing taste to the brain, that chocolate, which gives you that dopamine hit, makes you feel very satisfied. And so again, it works as just really a beautiful keto treat. Now, and I can see that it's already starting to almost look like if it was a frosting, a chocolate frosting. So then I'm going to go ahead and put in the Lakanto. Now again, you can do this to your sweetness. So a lot of times I will just be tasting it and see how it tastes. But I about 3 tablespoons of that as well. And I'll taste it to see if it's sweet or if it needs to be a little bit, just a little teeny bit sweeter. Okay, that's looking really good. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some chopped walnuts or pecans or any of those that you'd like. And I usually put in about 1/4 cup. So you, again, to the consistency, you would just kind of play along with it because it should look like a really nice thick fudge frosting. And then a little bit of the coconut. So again, about 3 tablespoons. This is 1/4 cup. I'm just going to dump that right in. So this is just the perfect consistency that I'm looking for. It's going to be easy to spread, and it's not too thick, but not too runny either. Now, being Latin, I always like to have everything with a little bit of a kick. And so I don't know if you watched any of my other videos, whether it is a fudgesicle, I always like to add a little teeny bit of chipotle because really that chili along with the sweet really brings out the chocolate flavor. So I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon to start off with, and I'm going to just do about 1/2 teaspoon. And then I'm going to put just a teensy bit of chipotle. Now you don't want to really put too much because again, it's not about the heat, but it's just about really accenting the taste of the chocolate. So I'm going to really just put a pinch. So honestly, literally, it's not even that much. It's just a pinch, if you can see that. And again, you can taste it because you just want to have that little, chipotle hit, but you don't want it to be overbearing. So we'll just leave it like that and see what it tastes like. Okay, and as you can see, that's just really a nice consistency there. It's very pliable, and it's going to freeze up just beautifully. Now you're going to put this in the freezer, and what you want to do is after you put it in the freezer, about 10 minutes into the time that it's been in the freezer, I would take it out and I would score it. And then that way you just have nice, beautiful, even cuts when you do this. Okay, so that is pretty good. Now I'm just going to go ahead and plop it in here. I didn't have to prepare the pan other than putting either the wax paper down or the parchment paper. I did not put oil on this because it's got a ton of oil in it already, and that's why we consider it a fat bomb. And then again, you want about an 8-inch little, cake pan, and you don't want it thick because you want to make these like bark, but you don't want them too thin that you're going to need to eat 3 or 4 of them. So you want it so that the brain really recognizes that this is a food. And again, we all, if you're familiar with the utilization of coconut oil, it works wonderful because it gives us, it burns more like a sugar rather than a fat. So actually you get that calories very quickly in terms of energy, and it's great for the brain. So if you've been on a modified ketogenic diet or keto diet, you'll know you use a lot of coconut oil for things. And this is one of my favorite things to use it for as well. I use it for cooking, but mostly when I'm doing Thai food or stir fries. Otherwise, I would use an avocado oil. So that's just about how we want it to go. So then again, you want to get it to your consistency in regards of the thickness. But I find that it's just like a little, I would say 1/8 of an inch. That's really all you need. Okay, then just smooth it out there with a spoon, easily enough. And you want to make sure that you have all just kind of an even on it. I see a little bit here, a little higher in the middle, so I'm just going to take my back of my spoon and just flatten it out. Okay, perfect. So there you have it. That's all it's going to take. Now I'm going to put it in my freezer for about let's say 10 minutes, and then I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to score it. So I'm going to show you what these beautiful little keto barks look like. And so, because I've made some in advance, so let's have a look at them. So as you can see here, I've already scored these. So you would just take a knife and score them to the size that you want, but this is probably a good size, and I've got it on this. So very easily, I can pop them off really, really nicely on here. So again, now you need to keep these in the freezer. If you take them out because of the coconut oil, they will get very soft on you. So you really can't take them in a baggie to work. If you are, put them in the freezer. But look at that. It's just the perfect thickness of it, just enough. And so let's go ahead and add that there. So there you got it. This is a wonderful version to a fat bomb. So this would be considered legally to be able to have in between your meals as some calories that's not going to spike your glucose level, so you can still be in fat burning modality. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Share it with your friends, and I will see you next time on Sensational Living with Liliana.